Chiefs Kingdom, we're going to discuss the potential trade or extension candidates and the other Chiefs news for this week. Thanks for tapping in and welcome to this edition of Gridiron Gambit.
Welcome, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for tuning in to this Red Kingdom media production, bringing you raw, authentic Chiefs coverage. Make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on your team. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Offseason. Let's work. Hey.
Welcome to this week's edition of Gridiron Gambit. I am your host for tonight's festivities, Clinton, and joined with me as always are my two pals in no particular order, Dale and Lonnie. How would you guys poke in one at a time and just say what up to the people and let us know how you're doing?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm just ready to get into the topics that we have for this week. Well, for this episode, gonna have a great time. And I think we're going to go at it a little bit tonight. So I can't wait to go ahead and discuss and have a good time with y'all.
Doing good. Ready to get into it.
All right. Love to hear it. So no more wasting time. Let's go on to our first topic, which is going to be Skyy or Toney Trade. So obviously with the addition of Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy in the draft, the Chiefs are a lot better off at wide receiver than they were initially. And with Rashee Rice looking really good in his rookie season, and we can talk about his issues another time, but with him and how good Travis Kelce is as a tight end, which, you know, he's not a wide receiver, but he plays like one, so he always gets lumped in that category, and that's totally fine with Chiefs Kingdom. But it begs the question whether or not the Chiefs are now kind of too much at the wide receiver position. And ultimately, because of the addition of the new players they have, there's some players who are on the Chiefs roster last year in the receiving core who may or may not necessitate a roster spot. And, you know, we can argue the two names, but they're in the title of the topic. So it's Skyy Moore and Kadarius Toney. Let's just get the names out there and reveal it. But at this point, you have to wonder, are either or both of those players going to end up staying on the roster, and will they end up being more of a preseason showcase star who you try to trade for pennies on the dollar and draft capital that you spent on the player itself?
So in my opinion, I've been, talking about it the whole time as well too. And we've been going back and forth on this, y'all, about Skyy Moore, Kadarius Toney. The reason why I don't think Kadarius Toney will be able to be traded is because of the backlash that he has been receiving all season, and then going into the offseason as well too. People are not letting up on that, and I just don't think as of now it's any trade value. And with what Reach was talking about as well too, he was really, really enthusiastic about Kadarius Toney. He feel like he's a guy who can, make some things go for this Chiefs offense. So when I go into it and I look at it like that, I think the guy who you look out for a trade is Skyy Moore. And I know a lot of people are saying, like, why would you do Skyy Moore if he didn't do that much last season? He had those troubles in his rookie year as well too, with the punt returns and everything like that. Those were minor things that, as a young player, he just didn't step up like we wanted him to, being a second round wide receiver, because, in previous years, it's not much that we could have done in the first round. Of course, we went for Carl Laftis in the first round and then Trent McDuffie as well too, but those were position needs. And we knew we needed a wide receiver, but at the same time, we still had some guys from the past or from previous drafts that we thought who could have stepped up. And with Skyy Moore, I just don't think it's a lot of just bad or negative things that's just attached to his name. It's just, when you look at it, honestly, he's just not doing his part of getting open and just having those miscommunications with Patrick Mahomes. However, people have seen him route run and be able to, really do his job within the slot, and also depending on the play call, be able to find an opening and get open. And that's something that they watch for in college as well too, where he's more of a guy who, within the 5 to 10 yards, his footwork is very phenomenal, and he is a hell of a route runner. But when you look at trade capital, I think you can get more out of Skyy Moore, because they're going to say, like, well, he's young, he's still growing. He had, a rough start, especially playing in Chiefs Kingdom with the fan base that was used to winning, and losing Tyreek Hill as well too. That was something where it's like it was a lot of expectations for anybody coming into that room, that they needed you to go ahead and be able to play to that level right now. So he had some expectations on him that were a little bit too high, especially with a player of his caliber. But I feel like teams, depending on who he played with, they'd be like, okay, maybe if he fits into our system, we can go with that. And then maybe with the draft capital we give up as well too, it's not going to be as bad. We want to go ahead and add depth to this position. So I feel Skyy Moore is a player who you should watch out for in the preseason, especially with him, depending on what group he played with as well too. He might be able to make some noise, like a Emir Smith-Marset that you seen a year ago, where he had a phenomenal preseason and we was able to trade him for a 7th round pick. You probably don't want that for Skyy Moore, but if you're looking at it to this point right now, where you went out and got Xavier Worthy in the 1st round, you signed Hollywood Brown, you had Rashee Rice, who's ascended in his position as well too, in his role, and we don't know the suspension details as of now. Hey, somebody has to go. And I think Skyy, he's the guy who is on that cusp of where, well, let's go ahead, you go out and play. We make sure we get you somewhere where you can go ahead and contribute and probably get more reps with the team.
Yeah, and I just think you just dressed it up and made it look good. Thank you for selling Skyy Moore to the nearest GM or anybody that'll buy him or take him. But I think it will be a trade, and it will be a wide receiver from last year traded, and then I think it'll be Skyy Moore. Of course, I think we going into this training camp, we all know that these are two people. Him and Kadarius Toney are two guys that were supposed to be number one at their position going into last year. I know the expectations have been set somewhat high, is what Dale likes to say. However, I think Skyy Moore has just not met his expectation, and for some reason has not been able to get on the same wavelength as Patrick Mahomes. Not to the likes of Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney has shown he does have the ability to be on the same page as Mahomes and actually do some super athletic things, like go up and fix your glove and catch the ball while fixing your glove. So like he's done some crazy stuff, some good stuff while being a Chief. More good than I think we've seen out of Skyy Moore. And I hate to say that. I know this is a guy that people compare to Edelman, coming out, a guy, slot guy, somebody that can get open, somebody that was quick. I just never think it really materialized really in the Andy Reid offense. And they try and figure out how to use you in every way. I don't see what Skyy can do to really change his fortune just as of right now. He would really just have to be like miraculous and go crazy. Being the pick that Skyy Moore was coming in the 2nd round, I just was expecting him to at least be somewhat of a game breaker, and we just haven't seen that for him whatsoever. I would put him in the same category as like a Mecole Hardman. Mecole Hardman kind of came into that same situation similarly, and still flashed. Unfortunately, Skyy Moore never flashed, bro. So it's just like he never was able to put it all together and have that game where it was like, oh my goodness, he may be that next one. It just never really materialized for him. So I think he definitely will be the one traded. I think Toney just brings more value. I think it'll be fun to watch that position group shake out during training camp. Our wide receiver room is loaded. And Kadarius Toney, I think if anything, if we bring in a ton of wide receivers, catch this, I think he comes on the team as a running back. He may be an extra running back because how they like to use him, how they used him down the stretch. I can see him being used a lot like Debo. So I can see them carving out a role for Kadarius Toney. I don't see them doing that same thing for Skyy Moore, being that he's a traditional wide receiver. So I think that's who ended up getting traded. I hope they see value in him. I hope they find that same value that Dale just alluded to. But I think it's going to be hard to get any more than like a 4th or a 5th back for Skyy Moore He hasn't really put a lot of equity into the NFL and put up a ton of stats. He's not a game breaker.
I'm in pretty much agreement with all three of you, or the three of us total, that I think Skyy Moore is on the outside looking in, and at this point, he's just kind of along for the ride. The good thing about Brett Veach as a general manager is he's not afraid to admit when something hasn't quite lived up to the expectations of either contracts or draft picks or coaches or whatever. So he's willing to make some changes, and he's also willing to reward long-term the players or personnel that are worthwhile to the team. And stay tuned for that segment towards the end of the show. But I think Skyy Moore at this point is going to try to be auditioning for other teams. And, you know, Chiefs fans are not going to like whatever draft capital he could potentially go for. And, you know, he hasn't necessarily done enough in the NFL to make him highly sought after. So, you know, other teams may argue that he's not even worth a 7th round pick several years later or whatever the case. Because, you know, he just hasn't proved himself. And he's flashed some, you could argue. He's been able to make an impact in some ways and then just completely disappear. And when you're playing with the Chiefs, you have to be as consistent as you can. And same argument goes against one Kadarius Toney as well, who I also could argue is also at the same time looking to play for another team. He might get the benefit of the doubt and be the one that survives, but I think it's clear that Andy Reid is kind of reverting his offensive schemes and rosters up again. More heavier personnels, several tight ends, possibly a fullback or multiple wide receiver or a running back sets. And, you know, the Chiefs are better at the wide receiver position this year and do not need the several additional numbers at the position. And at this point, don't feel like the talent, you know, warrants keeping as many wide receivers as they did last year. And so they're going to make sure they correct that in some way. And you could argue that both of these players are on the way out, but at this point, all fingers are pointing to Skyy Moore being the player that just will not stand to make the roster and is the one out of all the players to get traded before the preseason is over.
I mean, with the Chiefs declining Kadarius Toney 5th-year option as well too, you can tell that they already said, like, you know, pretty much we can finish out this year with you. Hopefully, if you know, step up and you make some great plays this season and you become a game changer in this upcoming season, maybe we can go that Clyde Edwards-Helaire route with you where we decline his 5th-year option. But okay, we'll bring you back on a 1-year deal. We kind of need a depth on the roster in that roster spot as well too. So that would be something positive that we can get out of that. But with Skyy Moore, it's just you didn't do that. And like you said earlier, Lonnie, and what you alluded to with Mecole Hardman, we saw a lot of flashes. I mean, it was a time where Mecole Hardman was the actual red zone threat for the Kansas City Chiefs. So when you look at it, Skyy Moore, what have you done for us? You caught a Super Bowl catch in the Super Bowl. I'm not taking away from you at all. That's your moment forever. I can't say I did that. But when you put it all together, and you're playing for a team that has won 3 Super Bowl championships within these particular years, and you haven't produced to the level of a Rashee Rice who did it in his rookie season. You haven't done it to the level of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, where people can talk about how small he is, because I'm one of those who said it as well too. But let's not act like that first game of the season after that Super Bowl win, he didn't go off against the Houston Texans and had a 100-yard game, went crazy, and was somebody who can come out the backfield as well too and made some plays. And not only that, he had multiple 100-yard games as well too and made some big plays. Actually had some flashes this season where he jumped over a guy in the game because he's just going all out and balling. The only reason why we didn't pick up that 5th-year option, because we just said, like, you're not worth that much, but we want you back on the team and you have a spot. I don't think the Chiefs want him on the team. And that's how I feel. Like, not like that's like you're taking up a spot. And we can have guys like Nico coming up, probably get Justin Ross to the level because he has the height as well too. We saw the flashes, and he had that season-ending injury. But Skyy, like, you really haven't had any excuse.
Well, definitely no doubt about that. So we'll see how the wide receiver room shakes out this training camp, because we definitely don't expect the same number of players in that room come the 53-man roster cut downs as we did last season. So let's go ahead and move on to our second topic, which, if you know me, you know that Mike Florio just cannot stop making it onto our show in some form or fashion, because he will not stop just blatantly lying or speculating about the Chiefs that is getting on my nerves, because we've already brought him up twice before when he's talked about Travis Kelce's retirement that hasn't happened yet. And then there's Andy Reid's retirement that hasn't happened yet. So who's left out of everybody? It's got to be that Mahomes is somehow in retirement talks already. And so, I haven't entertained much about it, but, we have to discuss what do we think about the latest stuff that he's just spewing on about, and what are our opinions on what he had to say.
Yeah, so clickbait Florio. You fall for it every time, and he gets you guys every time. He puts it out there, and as long as you keep clicking, you're going to get him paid. So as long as you guys continue to watch and buy into it, but I think he's just spewing straight BS at this point. Mahomes is not retiring. He's far from retiring. The man he's chasing has 7 rings. He's only 3 rings in. He has a long way to go. He's far from done. I don't even know what we're talking about here. Like, I don't think he's retiring anytime soon. But I will go on to say, like I just shared with the guys before we got on air, I could see him going to play baseball possibly. I don't know where it fits into that career timeline, but I could see him possibly just walking away and being like Michael Jordan. I mean, he can do it. He's a 2-star athlete, so really super duper athletic quarterback. But I don't think Florio has any idea what he's talking about. It's probably his dementia. I don't know. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Bro, you're way too far with that one. But we know Mike Florio, man. Like, I'm not never going to take nothing away from him. I think he's just at a point in his career right now, too, where he's just trying to keep, a lot of faces on him. Not saying that he's begging for the attention or anything, but we are in a day and age of now where media is something that people go to, especially during the times when a certain event or a certain sport is not going on. We are thirsty for more content, right? And we want to talk more things about it. So I think sometimes he just go into these rants where he goes into these moments to where he just put it to people's attention to where, like, hey, let's be honest, y'all. Patrick Mahomes, bro, he was just here in 2017, and it is already 2024, and he's going into his 8th season, and he's already 3-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time NFL MVP, and 3-time Super Bowl MVP. It feels like it has been almost 10 plus years. He did this quicker than Brady, y'all. Like, for real. And when I say this, I understand, like, Brady had that time. He had the first 3-peat. I mean, the first 2-peat quickly. And then, he got another one, and then they went on a 10-year drought. I don't even know if it's going to be a 10-year drought. So if he even gets to 6 by like year 12, 13, I'm not going to be mad at these conversations, because what else do you have to do? I'm gonna be honest, we throw the ball a lot. He's going to be in the top of those records. He's going to break that record, maybe quicker than what Brady even did it in. If he wanted to say bye-bye, I'm not mad at you, bro. You just can't say bye-bye right now. I think that's where the anger comes in, where it's like, you doing too much, Florio. It's only year 8 for him. Tom Brady, made it to around year 16, year 17 when the conversation started getting so serious about how long he was going to play. He is still in his prime. It's like they are ready to end the Chiefs, dynasty at this moment. And we are just now starting to enjoy it. And as Chiefs fans, we are getting irritated. And then Andy Reid, we know what he said about Andy Reid as well, too. Only reason why I won't say he's not as far-fetched is because, like, you look at age. And Bill Belichick, he was old as well, too. But I think this is what keeping Andy alive. So he's going to keep on doing what he does to keep on staying and living and enjoying his life and giving his family, the best, life they can go on with his wife and all that other stuff. And they just enjoying. Go win those championships. You've been through a drought so long when you was in Philadelphia, had a while until you won your first Super Bowl in Kansas City. He's not leaving that behind right now. Not when you have a quarterback of this caliber as well, too. And we said about Kelce as well. He's been the main one who's been talking about it. All I'm saying is, just to end it off like this, I just laugh at Florio. He doesn't anger me. Because you're doing what we're doing right now, bro. We need more stuff to talk about all the time. It's just, I think as Chiefs fans, we're irritated, and it's like we're not used to these conversations because, honestly, this is what the New England Patriots was dealing with a lot as well, too. They were so ready for Belichick to be out of there, so ready for Tom Brady to leave, and guess what happened when they left? It was fun for that year, but it's like, damn, it doesn't feel the same. And I'm going to be honest, as a Chiefs fan, I wanted our story to be where it's like we took that baton from you, where it's like we beat you to do it. Like, I was mad we lost in that AFC Championship game. It's cool we beat them in the regular season. Okay, great. But you could have got over him by winning in the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like, beat him with Tampa. That would have gave you like, yeah, bro, it's time for you to shake. Probably would have got Brady out of there. It's like, he did it. The young man did it. And he got past me to do it. So I'm just saying all this to, really come back and put in, all into fruition. It's just, Florio, he's not a bad guy. Don't give him a hard time. But this is just, we need something to trip about as well, too. And we appreciate you, Florio, for us to be able to come out here and come on to our podcast and, attack you for those type of comments. Trust me, it's no bad blood because we want to get to your position one day as well, too, with what you're doing. But what you're saying is cap. And I'm just going to laugh at it. And that's it.
Hey, I love what you had to say, Dale. Long-time listeners know how I feel about Mike Florio. And I can say all that, saying that I used to, watch his stuff and, watch him over some other stuff because he was more in tune with what was going on and was trying to be, more breaking news and up-to-date conversations versus, the same conversations every single year. And unfortunately, with age and contentment, he's started to kind of revert back to what some of his contemporaries have done, and some also do on other networks and platforms as well. But at this point, it's just making headlines and clickbait, and both the guys already said it a lot better than I can about it. So at this point, if I see anything by Florio, I look at it to either make fun of it or just to shake my head at it, and after that, just ignore it because there's nothing you can do to make sense out of what he's writing about now. And at this point, you just have to, ignore it, and after that, because at this point, he needs to be done because he's past his prime, and there's guys who are more in tune with the game, who do conversations and in-depth analysis better than him. And so he's got to be interesting in some other way. And being controversial is the way that he's chosen. And we'll see if that continues to work out for him and what it does to his building of relationships in the NFL. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say you can go to the bathroom and throw some water on your face if you're a fan of another team and try and wake up from this bad dream, but you're not gonna wake up. We're here to stay. We're putting belt to butt for a long time. And keep trying. I'm sorry. Florio is there for you guys that want to give you guys hope, but no, we just went through that with Tom Brady playing them every year. So no, there's no hope for none of you guys. They're not retiring anytime soon.
And I want to say, if you know Clinton person like us as well too, he hate controversial topics as well. Like, bro, just let's be cool. Let's do all this. I'm not gonna lie. The only reason why I would say I'm more on the controversial side, and I'm not mad at him, because really I think we're in a day and age now to where people can say their intrusive thoughts, and then it's like, bro, I'm just saying it. Like, this is really what I'm thinking right now. That's all. Like, I'm just putting it out there, and if it stick, it stick. I know it sucks, y'all, but let's be honest. We got all these people who got these podcasts where they tell facts, and y'all don't want to tap in, and y'all don't give it as much as to the negative stuff. So what about, and this is not even for our guys here, it's for y'all out here who y'all always want to get mad about it, then start paying attention to the people that tell facts and tell it in a respectful way to you. And I'm going to help Clinton out on that one. Do that. Because if y'all don't want him to keep on saying stuff, then ignore him and then tap in with the guys who really saying with the real. And they saying it in a real way and giving a real opinion. And they don't have to, get off on somebody for their point to get across. So I'm going to say, I'm going to leave it at that.
All right. I'd love to hear it. So before we move on to our next topic, make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Red Kingdom Media. If you're on any social media platform, we are on it. Just check us out. It's at Red Kingdom Media. And also, if you have interest, we have a free daily Substack that you can subscribe to, where you get articles Monday through Friday that are kind of just some NFL and Chiefs news throughout the week. And if that interests you, you could also consider becoming a paid subscriber. And I'll also put it out there that if you are a listener of the podcast and you have interest in getting a free trial sent to you, feel free to reach out and we might be able to get that to you. And thank you for your support, and we appreciate you for watching. So let's move on to our third topic, which is the Hallmark Chiefs Christmas. So the Chiefs and Hallmark, and more specifically the NFL and Hallmark, are in works together to create a holiday movie called Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story. And filming is set to go towards this month, and all of it will be happening locally. So, what does this say about the Chiefs and their continued journey into pop culture and the mainstream? We know that they're starting to be synonymous with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes is in all the commercials and being seen everywhere. And the Chiefs and Kansas City is making an impact. So now they're having a movie to coincide with their social status. What does that say about the Chiefs and what's going on?
Why you look so bad, bro? We in there now. This is what we wanted when we start winning. This is the fame that we said that we wanted to get. I love it, because I just want to see who you gonna have as the actors, because I wonder how it's gonna go for real. Like the players and everything like that. I don't know if y'all saw. I just want to see y'all face real quick. I don't know if y'all saw that new series called Clipped. Let's talk about the Clippers, and it had Chris Paul on them. Did y'all see the Steph Curry lookalike? He didn't even look like him. So it's like, are you gonna get actual actors to play the Tease as well too? I just want to see who y'all get from Mahomes, Kelce, other players can be easy to get as well too, you know, with the line and stuff like that. But honestly, I think it's fun for real. I think it's going to be I think this is a good look for Kansas City. And I think a lot of people are worried because with us being in the mainstream so much it attracts a lot of negative attention, but that comes with it when you're in a spotlight and you're at the top of the mountain, and people want to always be waiting for you to come down because they already ready, they're ready to see the next big thing. But at the same time, they'll eventually want that to be knocked down as well too. We didn't seen it with all greatness before, but in general, it's just fun. And as a Chiefs fan, when you're able to go to like these movies and go to see these particular commercials, it's like, dang, bro, we really came a long way. Think about the early 2000s and like the early 2010s. We were not popping at all. Not at all. Tony Gonzalez didn't even want to claim us. And now he want to be on us right now. So it's cool. I thought Hallmark was just a jewelry place or a place you go to go get like certain stuff. I didn't know they do movies. Like, for real, did y'all know they do movies? I'm just saying. Don't they got a network now that I'm thinking about it?
Yeah, dude, it's basically the Christmas channel. It's the Christmas channel with all the white people celebrating Christmas in a small town.
Okay. That's gonna be fun to see and get like how, because Clinton, you just said it. You said the white people. We're gonna have to get some culture in there too, so they can see like, because Kansas City lit like that. Y'all gonna have to see us downtown. Yeah, like it's not your regular. Nah, you they shooting in the street after the bowl. We hype. Parent light packed. Lonnie, you remember when we went to the first one? It was crazy. And my wife was pregnant. She said she heard the rumblings of the baby. I think that's why my daughter, she just always energized and always turned, because she experienced that, bro. Like, you gonna have to, like, Hallmark, y'all gonna have to get in y'all bag with this one. I'm gonna keep it G. We don't care just about the Taylor Swift story. We want to hear about Rashee Rice too, getting into it. Nah, I'm just playing. Nah. But for real, I think it's cool though. Just to wrap it off with that, I think that's a cool thing to see. I at least have a reason to watch that movie now. But hopefully they just get some great actors who are like, because the storyline is about like a family and it's about a girl or something like that, right? Something that in a, you know, it's a love story, but it's surrounding like the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl and everything like that. So, yeah, we don't know where they're gonna go with it. I'm saying if you're gonna get some actors, maybe look into like the Paul Rudds, who's from Kansas City, at least, you know, some people that can represent in a way who can be involved in that. I would say do that so we can at least, you know, have that theory. But that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I think this is just simply a overrun, a boosting of a brand, a misuse of a brand, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, just doing too much. When did we think it was okay to make a love story about a football team? Like, I'm just trying to make it make sense. Like, you just shot a movie about 4 grandmas going to see the Patriots win the Super Bowl. Like, I'm just trying, like, make us interested in the sport. This has nothing to do with the sport whatsoever. So, like, why are we mixing Chiefs with love stories? That makes no sense. Then we're gonna have 2 fake people play Travis. Are we doing it so people can make memes about us, Hallmark? I'm just trying to see what we're getting out of this. I don't see any good coming from it. It has nothing to do with football. Like, make a comedy. You Kansas City is the home of like a million comedians. You have the best. Ant-Man is from the city. Ant-Man, the Marvel character, is at like
Rudd,
all the
right?
Chiefs game.
That's Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, yes.
That's who I was referring to, bro.
We can't put him in a Chiefs movie. We could have put him in, like, oh my God. Like, we could have made a little, you know how they got the little Giants, the little Chiefs. Like, you could have did anything. You could have did anything other than a love story. Like, are you serious? Like, what is going on here, bro? Like, Oh my God, I think they running out of stuff to do, and they just need some ways to make money. Shout out to Hallmark. I mean, they got it. I
What they
guess they
supposed to
figured
do,
it out.
bro? They
They
business.
used it. Yeah, use the Chiefs logo and whatever we can slap it on, whether it be a love story, or a kid birthday party. That's probably what's next. Have the players show up to birthday parties and be mascots, dress up as the wolf, right? That's probably what's next on the list too. We're doing anything for money now, so um, I don't know. It'll be funny to watch. I hope we don't become the joke of the NFL because that's what we tend to do and make ourselves. So we just hope they put on a good production. That's all we can do at this point, and hope we don't start losing because I bet you what you will see a lot of is memes of the Chiefs love story.
Hey, I didn't know your point, Lonnie, was going to be such a Debbie Downer. Boy, that was just brutal, man. No joy whatsoever in that sentiment there. Uh, we could joke about it because we're three straight dudes who have no interest in this, but we got to be honest that this isn't made for us, and we just have to acknowledge that and accept that and be okay that something isn't made for us. So, we hinted and joked around it, but I feel like it was important to have it on record in terms of what this movie will be about. So, Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story, will follow Chiefs superfan Alana Higman, who's determined to win the team's Fan of the Year contest, and fan engagement director Derek. The two begin to feel romantic tension as Derek evaluates whether Elena's family deserves to win the contest. But when Elena's grandfather loses his vintage Chiefs winter hat, she begins to question her future with Derek, unless a little Christmas magic can throw a Hail Mary. Boy, so that was some cringe just to read.
Bro, that was very cringe. It was like okay, so they might not have them in there like that, but I'm sure they're gonna show up to a game. They're probably gonna be a part of the fan experience and everything like that. Probably make something out of that. I, and she meets a guy, and they like
Yeah, works for the team, bro. So works close with the team.
that's a beautiful story, bro.
Dang, it's gonna get all the ladies and the grandmothers interested in the Chiefs.
Lonnie
who
gonna
aren't
watch
already.
it. I don't know why he playing. He's going to watch it.
Lifetime went to the Chiefs and said, "We have an opportunity for you. We want to make
Hey,
you can make $1 million." And they
that's
said,
what I'm
"Wait, we
saying.
think we got a local company that can do it." And they gave it to Hallmark. They took their idea, re-rocked it, gave it to Hallmark. That's a Lifetime movie. Why are the Chiefs in a Lifetime movie?
Okay, I got one more point. So the NFL is at this point not afraid to market to the female demographic, and was almost before Taylor Swift, but it became even more of a bigger point once she was being associated with it. But for a period of time, these makeup or clothing lines that are female centric, they weren't being marketed on NFL, but now they are. You know why? Because there's more female viewership in the NFL than there has been in the future, and at this point, it looks like that's even continuing to rise. Which, if you're the NFL, is great. You need as many people watching the product as possible, and you need it from both sides. So the Chiefs are willing to capitalize on that. The NFL is more than happy to cash the check of some female centric products and services because they know the audience is growing. It's not just people like us who are dragging our significant other to watch it or sit still. They're just as interested, and kids are interested, and not just sports heavy boys, but kids of all ages and genders. So when you're the best team in the league, you got to capitalize on that. Anything can be made a joke, and anything can be looked at negatively, or cast doubts and and bad judgments on. But, people are going to love you or hate you. But if you're being yourself and, you're being authentic and true to who you are, you can live with yourself and be fine with that because, there's no shame in that. And people will make fun of you if they choose to, and that's their problem, not yours.
Clint, you made a good point. I'm glad you put the woman in there because I know looking like this, men really watch sport like this and all this other stuff. Let me tell the fellas something real quick. And I think we do spend our money on it just as much as them as well too. But let's not act like we don't tell our girlfriends, our wives, fiancés, like when they give us gifts. Truthfully, it's typically team related to a sport that we probably like. That's going to be special. What we're going to put up on our walls. You see Clinton Wall in the background right now. I'm not putting it out there. I'm just saying. I'm sure it wasn't just all him and some things. Like it might be the jerseys because the players. It might be that flag back there where she was like, I saw this Chiefs flag. This was cool. Let's go get it. So I'm just saying, like, they the ones who spending the money. Okay, you gonna make us sit up on here on Sunday and watch a game with y'all. Y'all got the day for free. They gonna give me a damn movie I can watch. And I'm gonna enjoy it. So I'm with y'all. Fellas, don't get mad at me. I ain't sipping or nothing. I'm already married. I'm good. I'm just saying, like, on some facts, on some factual talk, and be honest. Because I swear, I only had a sweatshirt, but I love the Chiefs. Like my mama and daddy and them, they used to do me greasy. They go get them a jersey, but they never got me one. I just watched the game and I watch more than them. But when I got with my woman, and then her mama was around too, we gonna Chiefs lamp, the thing you put the thing on there, that's make this room smell good. Just all different stuff, slides, the jacket. You know what I'm saying? Go give me a frame or something. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. They do some things for you where it's like they making you look like a super fan. So let's go ahead and give it to let's do something for the people who are keeping our fan base intact and putting more money in our pockets.
Yeah, and I was just to say real quick, it makes sense when Clinton said it. Marketing, it makes sense. It's a great marketing idea. Taylor Swift, the climate of the situation makes a ton of sense for a multi-billion-dollar business. However, keep the main thing the main thing. That's been my main thing of the offseason. Keeping the main thing, which is football. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
I know. Most of the clips end with you just saying stick to sports, to whatever controversial topic. You're not a fan when the Chiefs have a storyline going on that doesn't reflect positively on their brand. And we respect that, but agree to disagree on that. Other people say you're free to say whatever you want about any subject, but we know where Lonnie stands on that. So let's go ahead and move on to our final topic of the evening, which is the extension candidates for the Chiefs. And I've already seen all the conversations already had about, the extension candidates the Chiefs have on their roster and who they may choose to re-sign. We've already seen that Nick Bolton has been quoted from some people that he's not going to worry about not having a contract during this part of the season. And he's, more than happy to wait till the end of the season to figure out whether or not he's going to be the highest paid linebacker or on the Chiefs or whatever you want to say about that. So, Trey Smith is up there and he's on the verge of being one of the highest paid guards in all of football. Creed Humphrey is showing that he's, on par with the top center in football. The Chiefs have not chosen to pay a center, but will Creed be the outlier in the group? Trey Smith, Chiefs are paying Joe Toney, but you can't necessarily have two high-paid guards when you already have at least one high-paid left tackle, could be right tackle. So it just leaves it up to debate who is most likely that the Chiefs are going to be able to return on their roster, and who are the players that might get the short end of the stick and not be able to end up on the Chiefs after this season.
Yeah, so I think without a doubt, you have to retain the rock of your defense. It was Stone Cold Jones, but he's already been paid. He's made his money. I think the next rock of that defense would be Nick Bolton. He's the signal caller. He's been consistent all years in the NFL until last year when he went through a stint where he got hurt. But even when Nick came back, he was still one of the better linebackers in the NFL. I'm not going to say that he's not as good as Fred Warner, but I'm not going to say he's too much behind, not too far behind. So I think Nick is somewhere in that 3 or 4 range. Just as far as where he ranks in linebackers now, he's won 2 Super Bowls. I mean, his work speaks for itself. He deserves to be paid. I think they pay one on defense and one on offense. And I think if you got to pay one on offense, I think Trey ends up walking. This is a conversation I think me and Dale had off air, a crazy conversation, but unfortunately, I think Trey will be the one to get the short end of the stick there and end up walking, and Creed will get paid just because Andy Reid doesn't like pressure up the middle for any of his quarterbacks. He thinks the number one way to beat any team, Andy Reid will tell you, is pressure up the middle. And the one signal caller and the one man that has been super duper consistent and slim to no penalties ever is Mr. Creed Humphrey. So being that I know he has some low snaps sometimes, but I'm talking about never missed a beat since coming in as a rookie. You just don't see that he was coming in with not a veteran quarterback, but a quarterback that was older than him at the time, and being able to make the calls and set the protections and understand everything that was going on. So I just feel like he was ahead of his time. And I feel like he's just the most important, just being how Andy Reid likes to view pressure and where you get pressure from. So I know he wants to keep all of his interior guys. If you can figure out a way to pay Trey, I think they do it. Because Joe Tooney, I know, will be off the books here in a minute. So maybe they keep Trey Smith around or find a way to franchise tag him. Because, like I said, they don't want that pressure up the middle, and they don't want to have to go searching for – we're already searching for tackles. They don't want to have to be searching for guards too. So I think they figure it out there. But I think Trey will be the one that walk if one has to walk. And I think Nick Bolton and Creed get retained and end up getting long-term deals.
I might be a little bit on the opposite spectrum of this, and I want everyone to know that this is actually a good position to be in to, really come to this point where it's like, oh, we really do good in the draft. We find players who can come in and make an impact, and they can do their part. You made some very good points about the pressure in the middle and really want to retain that. And with Joe Tooney possibly, coming to the end of his tenure here, because we did a lot of restructures with his contract, but at the same time, he is finishing off his contract as well, too. It will make a lot of sense to go ahead and keep Creed and Trey Smith, so you can have just established front right there, and then work from that, where we have some guards that we did draft this offseason that could potentially step in if filling in for that role, and Trey possibly have to move over to the left side, the stronger side, and then we bring in that other guy right there and work from that. And I think out of that, if you're going to go ahead and try to get Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey done, I think you go ahead and try to attempt and go ahead and franchise tag Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton, he has been a powerhouse ever since he came in, especially where he started, playing behind Anthony Hitchens for that one season, then going ahead and taking the reins after that, and just being able to flourish in that position. But at the same time, he has dealt with some injuries as well, too, that took him out. Hasn't dealt, this was probably the first season that he, had some significant time that he was gone. And I think in that last year as well, too, probably a couple games just due to like a couple bruises and just making sure that he's out and making sure nothing severe happens. But, once you start having an injury history, you're the guy who's kind of on the cusp of, we got to see what your health looks like going forward. And we don't mind if you own this franchise tag and this number is at this number, we don't mind paying you that amount. But we got to see if we're on the same page of, okay, if we go ahead and do this extension, this is not something that's going to make put us in a bad cap situation to where we're not be able to make no moves after that. I do think you want to have your line great going forward with Patrick Mahomes, since he has that relationship with him and they know how he goes about things, the call outs to the line. You want to be able to have that veteran experience right there. And then you already have Jawan Taylor on the right side as well, too, who's going to be here for the next 3 years. And his contract is pretty much fully guaranteed. You want to have consistency throughout that time for Patrick Mahomes, especially completing his three-peat and possibly getting more after that as well, too. Nick Bolton, I don't think he's someone who will argue a lot as well. I do look at him as someone who might be similar to L'Jarius Sneed, where he's not as vocal. His agent is doing the talking for him. He wants to stay with the Chiefs, but he wants to be paid his money eventually as well, too. And with him being someone we picked up the 5th-year option, and we want to try to retain him as long as possible as well, too. Yeah, we'll go ahead and place the franchise tag on him and try to see and figure it out. You see the Bengals doing that with T. Higgins. They really don't want to give him up, but at the same time, they don't mind paying that number if they're able to keep him on their side instead of going to the other side. And if you look at it, a lot of people might argue and say the Bolton is not probably in the top 3 or top 2 behind Fred Warner. But when I look at him play, he plays almost the same as Fred Warner. So it's kind of like that Michael Jordan, Kobe-esque type of situation where the top guy in the league, they somewhat mimic each other and have the same play style, and that's what makes them great and what makes them next after them. So if he was an enter free agency, someone will throw the bag at Bolton, and I don't think the Chiefs want to do that. And it could potentially be an AFC rival as well too, because a lot of times a lot of people like to take from us and try to apply it to what they have and think that's going to give them success. And you see it hasn't worked out as much. But at the same time, it's about building a roster that you feel it fits best to compete with the team that is going to always be in the playoffs or always be in contention, and you want to fight for that. So Bolton, I think at the end of the day, he might be the guy who is on the outside looking in. Trey Smith, when you look at it, hasn't had that many injuries. If anything, he had bruises, but he still played through them. And then Creed Humphrey as well, too, didn't miss any games. So when you go in and look at that, those guys are for sure. You want to go get those contracts out the way right now. And with how the market is looking for the guards as well, too, you want to go ahead and get that done as soon as possible so it doesn't raise. And then now you're out of contention from trying to retain a guy like Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith.
I see both of your points. And Dale, you could be right that Brett Veach has seen the error of that terrible Tom Brady Super Bowl and just thinking to himself, if there was some healthy, good offensive linemen, we'd never have these problems again. But I don't think the Chiefs are in a position where they can afford to just make their highest paid unit their offensive line and be able to retain the type of talent that they need in order to continue to make it to and achieve the victories in the Super Bowls that they're looking for. So if you, at this point, I think it's a decision between Creed or Trey, and there's no possible chance to get both of them. And I know that we haven't had history in paying the center, but I feel like Creed is the type who's going to break that tendency, and the Chiefs are willing to reward him for his efforts and allow him to be possibly the highest paid center in the league or close to that, and they'll be able to work their cap around it, but it'll still look like a large chunk of money. But I just don't think that Trey Smith is a part of that conversation, and it's because we've already seen that guards are making as much money as Jawan Taylor was paid, and we thought how much of a contract that was and the value of that and whether that would pan out, and that's still up for debate. But I don't think the Chiefs are in a position where they can afford to pay high-paying guards as the best use of their cap space. And to then wrap it up, it's got to be that Nick Bolton comes back, because the Chiefs, they're not afraid to give decent-sized contracts to key players. We saw Drew Tranquil come in. He was on that very low cap number and then balled out and was rewarded with a 3-year contract at, decent money. So the Chiefs are willing to reward good players. And I think Nick Bolton has flashed enough that, he's worthy of a contract of that size. Now, is he worth the highest paid linebacker contracts? There's some who could argue yes and no, and I don't think he would do that. But the Chiefs might be willing to reward him at a potential number, just considering the fact that he has all the Super Bowl wins, and same for Creed as well. That we might not like the number that we're giving you, but you've proven yourself as a good player at this position, and we have this history of success, and we don't want to mess with it. So we're just going to keep it and reward you for your efforts.
At the end of the day, I think they're comfortable with whatever decision that they make, because we know when Brett Veach and that scouting team and those draft experts come to work and they go into the offseason, they're very detailed in what they're looking for in their notes, and once they attach themselves to a player that they feel that can come in, they'll find a way to actually do it. So either way it goes, I think they will they will find a solution for what we're talking about right now. But Nick Bolton, I know we want our old DJ back, where we know this guy was going to be here for multiple years to come. But I just think we're in a time now where you have your best offensive player in Patrick Mahomes on that side of the ball, and you want to keep on providing the best experience for him on that. And he'll go out there and win games. And then you got a guy like Spags, who whatever he gets, he can make them into something. And we've seen that with Drew Tranquil, Nick Bolton, the Willie Gays, the Leo Chenals, the Trent McDuffie, Snead. He has history, and that's why I feel like it's like Andy Reid. He might need a little bit more, just because how specific that offense is. But defensively, Spags, he's a GOAT when he comes to that.
And I was just gonna say, I think what Clem said, both you guys said, I didn't really think about it, but Trey just might have priced himself out playing so good and being in the position that he plays. He just might have priced himself out of the Chiefs' range, and that's just all I was gonna say.
Yep. I mean, in a perfect world, there's enough money and finances to go around that the Chiefs can pay anybody they want, and there is no salary cap. But that's not the NFL that's happening here. But the Chiefs are willing to pay good players and retain the players they have and reward them and give them the highest paid contract. They've done it with several players who they've deemed worthy enough to receive it. And they're just trying to be a little more cautious about who they give their contracts to. And they want players to prove themselves to warrant that particular number or years of contract length. So, jury's out on that. We'll see once the regular season rolls around if we start hearing some extension talks. But from what we heard, it might be kind of a hard conversation to have at the end of the season. And let's hope that it's at least somewhat bittersweet, because we get to achieve what's never been done in NFL history, and they get to leave on a high note, just as we're going to leave on a high note. Thank you all so much for tuning into this episode of Gridiron Gambit. I hope you have a great rest of your week. As always, go Chiefs!
Thanks for checking out this update straight from the heart of Chiefs Kingdom. We appreciate your passion, so please leave a like and follow us wherever you tune in from. See you next tailgate, your trusted source for all things Chiefs. Red Kingdom Media.